With this coronavirus, people need to stay at home. And what better to do than make some music? So in this video, some tips. Hey, what's up? Husman here, straight from my music production shelter for the apocalypse that's going outside. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 tips that I wish I knew when I started out with music production years ago. Now I've been producing for more than 10 years and I know a few tips that I've learned along the way which would have helped me greatly when I started out. This video is a little bit more tailored to beginning producers, people who are starting out, but there will also be a lot of tips that will be helpful for you as a producer or artist which has been producing for a long time. Tip number 1 is make the music that you want to make. Now it might sound simple when you're starting out, you're just gonna be like, oh, I can make everything that I want to make, so I'm gonna do exactly that. But once you're gonna start making better music and your music is gonna start to improve, you're gonna be handling with labels, you're gonna be handling with fans, with people who want to hear your music, and it's easy to forget about what it is that you want to make. Because for instance, you make like a track which gives you a little bit more fame, of a little more attention, and then people gonna expect from you that you're gonna stay producing in that genre which made you become a little bit more well known. Now in a few years after that song you might be thinking, yeah, I really want to make something else. And I always encourage people when that happens is to give in to that, because you should have fun making the music that you want to make. It's of course really important that you're gonna grow as an artist. See it like this, you make like a track which you from start to finish really tailored to, okay, that DJ is gonna play it, so I'm gonna make something that he will definitely play. So you made the track, it's good enough, you send it towards that DJ or to that label, and they were like, nah, it's not what we're looking for. Now you also have like a track which is not being approved by a label or like a DJ where you made it to. And also you didn't have as much fun in the process. So I would really encourage you to make the music that you want to make. Of course, look a bit at the general scale of things where you want to go with your career. But always take into consideration, do I have fun making this music? Because that's, in my opinion, the best way to create better music and have much more fun with it. Tip number 2, sound design is the key to your own sound. Now in a few videos back, like I think a year back, I did a video about how to create your own sound. And one of the main things I discussed was that you have to make a blend of everything that you really like as an artist, as a music creator. For instance, like a genre that you really like, an instrument that you really like, a melody that you really like, and make a blend of it, and how more specific you can get, how more unique that blend for your own sound will be. Now, when I started out with Patreon a year ago, shameless plug, I learned and I delved really deep into sound design and making presets myself, and I really looked into how I can create something unique from like a init sound, an init preset, and this really gave me a lot of unique sounds which nobody else has because I made them from scratch. They might have something a little bit similar, but nothing as unique and as precisely the same as that I have, and that makes my sound nowadays, I think, pretty unique because I use a lot of my own sounds. And that's like one of the tips I would encourage younger Husman, like do more shit yourself, start from scratch with more things. It's a lot of fun and you can create a really unique kind of sound collection in this way. Tip number 3 is you can save default presets in Ableton. So how do you save the default project? You just basically open the default project and you tailor it to where you want it to start every time basically. So if you look at my project, I always have like a sidechain, drums, bass, synths, instruments, vocals and effects. And that's how I always want to start out. So what you then do, you go to Preferences, File Folder, and you save as current. And now every time you open a new project, this is how it will start. So you can do this also with individual plugins. For instance, like with a delay, I have a certain preference when starting out for the dry wet, for the feedback, for the time of the delay. So I just save that also as default preset, and every time I load up a delay, I always have a good starting point to starting out. Tip number 5 is use the same color scheme. This is mostly helpful when you work for a lot of different clients like I do. Either it's a Husman track, it's an NH production track, it's a client track, it's a Patreon track, it doesn't matter. I always have the same color scheme. So I always know everything that's blue will be bass lines, everything that's green will be synthesizers. And it looks kind of cool as well. Tip number 6 is that your ears will get tired over time and won't show you a clear representation of what you're actually hearing. Now, you might all know the meme from I made this awesome beat last night and this morning it sucked. And I've had this problem like a lot of times in the past as well, and still sometimes nowadays, but not nearly as much, because I really know that whenever that point comes where I'm just hearing it too much times after each other and I'm just don't hear like clearly what I'm listening for, and it's basically because your ears and the information between your brain and your ears get muffled a bit, and you just, yeah, you're like when you're working out, your body gets tired. The same thing with your brain and with your ears. When you make a lot of music and the same kind of sounds come into your brain and into your ears and brain will get tired, and you just won't hear a clear representation anymore. Just something to take into consideration. Tip 7. Sidechain exists. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, of course it exists, but when I started out, there was no such thing as sidechain. I had to do like volume automations. For the real beginners out there, sidechain is basically making sure one sound ducks when another sound is playing. You can do this via the Ableton compressor. If you're using Ableton, Fruity and Logic and all other DAWs have their own kind of compressor to do this. You basically set up a trigger signal, which can be a kick or a hi-hat, and then you set up your bass line or your synths, and then every time that trigger signal hits, which can be a hi-hat or a kick, the sound of your sidechain sound will get ducked. So as an example for kick and bass, every time your kick is playing, your bass will get ducked. When the kick is not playing, your bass will come up gradually. It will clear up some room in your mix and it will sound way more professional that way. Tip number 8, and that's collaboration. Collaboration is a major key to creating a sustainable future as an artist, and I'm not necessarily talking only about collaborating with other DJs, other producers, but also with singers, with marketing guys. You can look at this in a few ways. Like the personal way, it's way more fun in the music scene if you have some people around where you can hang out with, where you can laugh with, go for ideas back and forth. It's just way more fun that way. But when you look at it also in the business side of things, you expect when you make something for other people that you get rewarded for that. Like get paid for that. And everything costs a little bit of money. And in the music scene, it's not a little bit of money, it's a lot of money. Like managers cost money, vocalists cost money, songwriters cost money. Now, if you already have a lot of people in your own community, you won't necessarily have to pay like the jackpot to get like the same kind of results. So I usually tend to look more at the personal side of things, but the business side of things is a really welcome plus in this as well. A little segue into tip 9, as that's just basically be nice to people. And the same with tip 8, it has like a business side and it has like a personal side. Personally, I really have a lot more fun in this music scene when I'm nice to people, when people are nice back to me. Just when it goes naturally, you just have a good vibe all around. And when you're making music, you want to be in a good headspace. But also again, looking at pure from the business side of things, you will always be at a certain point in your career where people are below you and people are above you, just business wise. Now, the people who are below you right now can have like a breakthrough in their careers and go way above you. And it's good to take in the back of your head to just be nice to those people below you and above you as well, because you never know where they are gonna end up. And when you yourself have been like in the gutter and you didn't get anything done, you couldn't get anything working properly, and there was like this one guy who stuck by you, who helped you, and now you're going up all of a sudden, he will be the first guy you think about, or girl, doesn't matter, you think about to call for, and that's something to take into consideration. Again, I always lean more towards the personal side of things, but the business side of things is always good to take into the back of your head. Finally, tip 10, it's a technical tip again. Layers need to be different from another. What I mean with that is when you make like a lead layer or a bass layer, if you're gonna add a lot of layers on top of each other which have the same frequency range, it will get really muddy really quickly. So what you want to do, for instance, when you have like leads, you want to have like a lead which is like a mono lead, for instance, in the middle. You want to have a super saw in the back. You want to have something that's really atmospheric, which you can have like a reverb all the way like at 80% wet. And that's where you can add a really cool balance. And when you're going to apply like a glue compressor or like an OTT on that, you get like a really balanced kind of flavor in your layering, and that's something that I really like to do a lot. So to receive big lead layers, make sure that every individual layer has their own kind of flavor which they bring to the mix. These were the tips that I want to give to you today. If I had known them back in the days, I think I would have been a much better producer and a way better businessman. But now you know. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what I do, hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe, and I see you all on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.